Hello and welcome back to Elder Insights. I hope you're doing well today and feeling at your best. If you're over 70, this video is especially for you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the foods you enjoy every day might be affecting your health more than you think? What if some of those comfort foods are actually shortening your time with loved ones? It's a thought that might catch you by surprise, but it's one that's incredibly important to consider as we get older. In today's video, we're going to reveal 8 common foods that might be stealing precious years from your life. These foods seem harmless, maybe even comforting, but they're silently taking a toll on your health and vitality. Some of these may even be foods you've been eating for years, thinking they're fine. But trust me, once you hear why they're so dangerous, you might just rethink your next meal. Now here's the best part. At the very end of this video, I'm going to share a game-changing tip that could completely transform the way you approach your diet. So stay tuned because you won't want to miss it. This is not just about what's on your plate, it's about your health, your happiness, and your quality of life as you age. The good news is, making small changes can lead to huge improvements in how you feel every day. I'm here to help you navigate that journey because, just like you, I know how important it is to live a full, vibrant life. Before we dive in, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support is what drives us to keep bringing you content that truly matters to your well-being. So are you ready to discover which foods you need to avoid to add more healthy years to your life? Let's get started. Number 1, processed meats. As we navigate the years, it's common to look back at habits we once thought were harmless, only to realize that they may have had a bigger impact on our health than we realized. One such example is processed meats. Many of us enjoy them regularly, foods like bacon, sausages, and deli meats, because they're convenient and tasty. However, behind their savory appeal, processed meats come with hidden dangers, and these risks become more significant as we age. Processed meats often contain preservatives, such as nitrates and nitrites, which are used to enhance flavor and extend shelf life. While these chemicals serve a practical purpose, they also pose significant health risks. Research has shown that these preservatives are linked to an increased risk of heart disease and certain cancers. The high sodium content in processed meats also contributes to elevated blood pressure, which is another risk factor for heart disease. As we age, our bodies are less able to repair themselves and cope with these stressors, making us more vulnerable. I think about my good friend John, who's in his mid-70s. John had always started his day with a hearty breakfast of bacon. For years, he thought it was a simple and tasty way to fuel his mornings. But over time, he began to notice changes. His joint pain, something he had never experienced before, worsened, and despite a full night's sleep, he often felt fatigued. At first, he dismissed these changes as just part of getting older. But when he visited his doctor for his annual checkup, his doctor pointed out that his diet could be the culprit. The doctor explained that the processed meats John had been consuming were likely exacerbating inflammation in his body. This chronic inflammation not only worsened his joint pain, but also put additional strain on his heart. His doctor advised him to reduce his intake of processed meats and consider incorporating lean meats like fresh chicken or even plant-based options such as lentils. The results were almost immediate. John noticed his energy levels rising and felt less discomfort in his joints. He also felt a renewed sense of vitality that made him realize just how much his food choices had been impacting his health. This experience taught me an important lesson. While processed meats might seem like a convenient and satisfying option, their long-term effects can be much more harmful than we realize. The preservatives and excessive sodium contribute to inflammation, which can worsen joint pain, digestive issues, and overall discomfort. More seriously, the impact on heart health and the increased risk of certain cancers are major concerns that shouldn't be overlooked. The good news is that making small changes to our diet can yield significant improvements. Swapping processed meats for fresh, unprocessed alternatives is a simple but powerful step toward better health. Lean meats like fresh chicken or turkey offer essential protein without the added preservatives and sodium. For those looking to try plant-based options, legumes such as lentils, beans, and chickpeas provide protein, fiber, and other important nutrients. By making these changes, you can reduce inflammation in your body, improve joint health, and protect your heart. This shift can also help manage weight and boost energy levels, making it easier to enjoy the things you love. Just like John, many people have found that cutting back on processed meats has made them feel better physically and mentally. Ultimately, it's crucial to remember that the food we eat is not just fuel for our bodies. It plays a vital role in maintaining our health as we age. The convenience of processed meats may be tempting, but the long-term effects on our well-being simply aren't worth it. By opting for fresher, more natural foods, we're making an investment in better health, increased energy, and a more vibrant life. While processed meats have their own set of hidden risks, another dietary habit that has gained more attention as we age is sugary drinks. Just like the harmful preservatives in processed meats, sugary beverages also come with long-term consequences that we need to be mindful of as we grow older. Number 2, sugary drinks. What might have seemed harmless in our younger years can quickly become more detrimental to our health. One such habit is consuming sugary drinks. These include sodas, sweetened teas, and even fruit juices. While they may feel like a quick and easy way to quench our thirst or add a touch of sweetness to our lives, these drinks can do far more harm than good, especially for seniors. When we were younger, our bodies could handle the occasional sugary indulgence with fewer consequences. But as we age, our metabolism slows down and our bodies become less efficient at processing sugar. This becomes especially concerning when it comes to sugary drinks. These beverages cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, which are often followed by crashes. This pattern can leave us feeling fatigued, sluggish, and irritable. Over time, these frequent fluctuations can also contribute to more serious health conditions, such as type 2 diabetes, which is more common as we get older. I remember my cousin Ellie, now 72, who used to drink sugary iced tea every day. She would pour herself a glass with lunch and another in the afternoon, thinking it was a harmless treat. However, over time, she began to notice that she was feeling more tired and lacked the energy she once had. Her doctor pointed out that the excess sugar was likely affecting her energy levels, leading to blood sugar imbalances. Ellie made a simple but transformative change. She switched to herbal tea and began infusing her water with fresh lemon. The results were remarkable. Her energy levels became much more consistent throughout the day, and she felt more alert and focused. She also felt lighter and more refreshed, a pleasant surprise to her. This experience taught Ellie, and it's a lesson many of us can learn, that sugary drinks not only contribute to blood sugar imbalances, but also to unwanted weight gain and a weakened immune system. According to a study by the American Heart Association, older adults who regularly consume sugary drinks are at a higher risk of developing heart disease and other related health issues. The sugars in these drinks promote fat storage and inflammation, which in turn stress the cardiovascular system and make it harder for the body to fight off infections. What's even more troubling is that many seniors aren't fully aware of how much sugar they're consuming, thinking that fruit juices or sweetened teas are healthier alternatives. However, a single can of soda can contain up to 40 grams of sugar, roughly 10 teaspoons. Even a small glass of fruit juice, though it seems nutritious, can contain as much sugar as a soda without offering the same beneficial fiber. This is why it's important to be mindful of what we drink, as our bodies can't handle sugar overload as they once did. The good news is that reducing or eliminating sugary drinks from your diet doesn't mean you have to sacrifice flavor or enjoyment. Water should be your go-to beverage. But there are plenty of other drinks that are both satisfying and beneficial to your health. Herbal teas are a wonderful alternative, available in a variety of flavors, from calming chamomile to invigorating peppermint, and can be enjoyed hot or iced. Adding a slice of fresh lemon, lime, or even cucumber to your water not only makes it more refreshing, but can also help with digestion and hydration. As you gradually make this switch, you'll likely notice improvements in your overall health. Your energy levels will stabilize, your mood will be more consistent, and your cravings for sugary drinks will diminish. Plus, by cutting back on these sweetened beverages, you're lowering your risk of developing type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and other age-related conditions, all while giving your immune system a much-needed boost. In the end, the lesson is clear. Sugary drinks might provide a quick burst of sweetness and refreshment, but they come with a cost. Cutting back on them can make a significant difference in your energy levels and overall health. By making small, consistent changes, like switching to water or herbal tea, you can feel more vibrant and healthier as you age. Just like Ellie, many seniors find that reducing sugar intake leads to feeling better physically and mentally. It's a change that anyone can make at any age. Similar to the hidden sugars in beverages, there are other common foods that seem harmless but can actually contribute to blood sugar fluctuations and long-term health problems. One such group is refined grains, including white bread and pasta, which are often consumed without considering their impact on our metabolism as we age. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 inches below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support allows us to continue sharing valuable insights and inspiration with you. Let's keep moving forward together. Number 3, white bread and refined grains. As we grow older, it's natural to notice changes in our bodies. Foods that were once easy to digest might not sit as well with us anymore. One such food group that becomes more concerning as we age is refined grains, which include white bread, pasta, and crackers. These foods, while convenient and comforting, are often stripped of essential nutrients and fiber during the refining process. Over time, consuming too many refined grains can lead to various health issues, particularly for older adults. The refining process removes the bran and germ from the grains, leaving only the starchy endosperm. This makes the food smoother and easier to eat, but also removes the fiber, vitamins, and minerals that are crucial for our well-being. When we consume refined grains, our bodies absorb them quickly, causing a rapid spike in blood sugar. These spikes are often followed by sharp drops, which leave us feeling fatigued and hungry again soon after eating. For many older adults, this cycle can lead to unwanted weight gain and even more serious conditions, such as insulin resistance and diabetes. I saw this firsthand with my neighbor Bill, who's 78. Bill had always loved his white bread with butter at every meal. He would say there was nothing better than a thick slice of white bread, warm and comforting. But after several months of feeling increasingly tired and noticing a few extra pounds, Bill decided to see his doctor. His doctor explained how consuming refined grains could be contributing to his fatigue and weight gain. He also pointed out that these foods could cause fluctuations in his blood sugar levels, adding to his discomfort. Bill was skeptical at first. How could he give up the comfort of his favorite white bread? But after thinking it over, he decided to try replacing it with whole grains like quinoa and oats. The results were impressive. Within just a few weeks, Bill started to feel more energized and didn't feel as sluggish after meals. The extra weight began to come off, and his doctor praised him for making the change, saying it would benefit his long-term health. Bill couldn't believe the difference it made. Not only did he lose the weight, but he also felt more alive than he had in years. Bill's story serves as a reminder that small changes in our diet can make a world of difference. By switching from refined grains to whole grains, we can help stabilize our blood sugar levels, prevent the fatigue and hunger that come with blood sugar fluctuations, and maintain a healthy weight. Whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, oats, and whole wheat are rich in fiber and essential nutrients. These foods are digested more slowly, keeping our energy levels steady and our bodies functioning better. Fiber in particular plays a key role in digestion, helps regulate blood sugar, and supports heart health. If you're thinking about making the switch from refined grains to whole grains, it's easier than you might think. Start by swapping white bread for whole grain bread, or replacing white rice with brown rice or quinoa. Oats make a great breakfast option, and you can even try whole wheat pasta instead of regular pasta. You don't have to make all the changes at once. Just start with one simple adjustment, and over time, you'll notice the benefits. Your body will thank you. As we age, it's more important than ever to pay attention to what we put into our bodies. While it might feel like a sacrifice to give up the comfort of white bread or pasta, the benefits far outweigh the temporary satisfaction. By making small adjustments, like switching to whole grains, we can support our health, boost our energy, and make the most of our golden years. In conclusion, the lesson here is simple. Refined grains may be easy and convenient, but they can cause more harm than good. They lead to blood sugar spikes, fatigue, and even long-term health issues. By choosing whole grains, we provide our bodies with the fiber and nutrients they need to function at their best. Just like Bill's experience, making the switch can lead to more energy, better health, and a happier, more fulfilling life. Just as refined grains can cause blood sugar spikes and lead to unwanted weight gain, another type of food that's best enjoyed in moderation, especially as we age, is fried food. Fried foods like white bread are full of unhealthy fats and sodium, which can also contribute to cardiovascular issues over time. Number 4, fried foods. One type of food that can pose significant risk to our health is fried food. While it might be tempting to indulge in a crispy, golden fried treat now and then, it's crucial to consider the long-term consequences, especially as we get older. Fried foods are loaded with unhealthy fats and sodium, both of which can take a toll on our bodies over time. For seniors, the risks associated with fried foods are particularly concerning. As we age, our heart, arteries, and overall cardiovascular system become more vulnerable. Studies have shown that older adults who consume fried foods regularly are at a higher risk of developing heart disease and suffering from strokes. The oils used in frying also present a specific concern. When these oils are reused multiple times, they release harmful toxins that can damage cells and increase inflammation, further raising the likelihood of health problems. I recall a conversation I had with my uncle, who is 76. Like many of us, he had always enjoyed his deep-fried fish and chips, savoring the crispiness and flavor. But after experiencing some chest discomfort, he decided to visit his doctor for a checkup. His doctor didn't mince words. Fried foods had to go. She explained that his heart health was at risk and that reducing these foods could help improve his situation. At first, my uncle was skeptical. How could he enjoy his meals without frying them? But as time passed, he embraced healthier cooking methods, like baking and grilling. He started making the same dishes he loved, but without the deep fryer. Within just a few months, the changes in his health were noticeable. His energy levels increased, the chest discomfort subsided, and most importantly, he felt like he was taking control of his health in a way he hadn't before. His story is a reminder that it's never too late to make small changes that can have a big impact. We often hear that it's the small, consistent choices that add up over time. And this is true when it comes to fried foods. While a single meal won't make or break your health, the cumulative effect of regularly consuming these foods can gradually lead to serious health issues. It's not just about reducing weight gain, it's about safeguarding your heart and arteries, which are already under strain as we age. The oils used in frying are packed with unhealthy fats, which increase bad cholesterol levels and clog arteries. A perfect storm for heart disease. Replacing frying with healthier methods like baking or grilling can provide equally delicious meals without putting your heart at risk. You don't have to give up flavor or satisfaction in your meals by making these healthier swaps. Baking and grilling allow the natural flavors of food to shine while still giving you that crispy texture you crave. For example, when baking chicken, you can season it with herbs and spices and roast it until golden and tender, creating a dish that's both satisfying and nutritious. Grilling vegetables or fish can offer a smoky, savory taste, all while minimizing the use of oils and fats. It's about making simple adjustments that allow you to enjoy food without compromising your health. The truth is, our taste buds adapt over time. If you're used to fried food, it might seem like a challenge at first to switch to other cooking methods, but it's not as hard as it seems. In fact, your body will begin to thank you once it starts benefiting from the switch. It's worth remembering that your heart is one of the most important organs to protect as you age, and the food you eat plays a key role in that. By reducing fried foods, you're making a choice to give your body the best chance at staying strong and healthy for years to come. Research supports these changes as well. According to a study published by the American Heart Association, diets high in trans fats, commonly found in fried foods, are linked to an increased risk of heart disease. The same research shows that people who consume fried foods more than once a week have a significantly higher risk of developing cardiovascular conditions compared to those who limit their intake. The evidence is clear. Fried foods can be a hidden danger, especially for seniors, and it's better to make mindful choices that promote long-term health. We should remember that it's not about perfection, but about progress. You don't have to eliminate fried foods completely, but perhaps cutting back and finding healthier alternatives can be a simple step toward a healthier lifestyle. The shift toward more heart-friendly cooking methods can be gradual, and as my uncle's experience shows, the rewards can be life-changing. At the end of the day, making healthier choices doesn't have to be complicated or difficult. By reducing fried foods and incorporating more baked or grilled meals into your diet, you're not only protecting your heart, but you're also setting yourself up for a happier, healthier future. The transition may take time, but it's one that will benefit you for years to come, and it's worth every effort. While fried foods can affect our heart health and energy levels, another culprit that we often overlook is the excess salt hidden in many processed foods. Just like the harmful effects of fried foods, consuming too much salt can raise blood pressure and increase the risk of heart disease, especially as we get older. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 inches below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, excess salt. While a certain amount of salt is necessary for the body to function properly, too much salt can have serious health consequences, especially as we age. Excessive salt can raise blood pressure, putting unnecessary strain on the heart and increasing the risk of cardiovascular diseases, a major concern for older adults. Salt can be particularly tricky because it is hidden in many processed foods, making it hard to avoid without paying close attention. Packaged foods, canned soups, processed snacks, and even some sauces and dressings often contain surprisingly high amounts of sodium. This hidden salt can accumulate over time, and before we know it, our daily intake may far exceed the recommended amount, leading to potential health problems. Take my Aunt Susan, for example. She had always relied on the convenience of canned soups and processed snacks, thinking they were quick and easy meals. However, as the years went by, she started experiencing high blood pressure and frequent fatigue. At first, she thought it was just a normal part of aging, but when her condition began to worsen, she decided to consult her doctor. The doctor explained that her high salt intake from processed foods could be contributing to her blood pressure issues. The sodium was causing her blood vessels to tighten, making her heart work harder, which led to increased fatigue and other health concerns. Determined to make a change, Aunt Susan began paying closer attention to the food labels of the products she bought. She switched to low-sodium options whenever possible, choosing fresh foods and cooking at home instead of relying on processed meals. She also began using herbs and spices like garlic, basil, and rosemary to flavor her food instead of salt. The results were remarkable. Within a few weeks, her blood pressure started to stabilize, and she felt more energetic and alert. By making a few small but significant changes, she was able to take control of her health and feel better than she had in years. This experience highlights an important lesson for all of us. While salt is necessary for our bodies, too much of it can wreak havoc on our heart health, especially as we age. The key is moderation. By reducing our salt intake, we can lower the risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, and other related conditions. Opting for fresh, whole foods over processed ones is one of the most effective ways to reduce salt intake. Fresh fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and whole grains are naturally low in sodium and provide essential nutrients for our health. In addition to choosing fresh foods, seasoning meals with herbs and spices instead of salt can add exciting flavors to your dishes without the negative health effects. Fresh herbs like thyme, parsley, and cilantro can elevate the taste of any meal, while also offering a variety of health benefits. Experimenting with different flavors can make your meals just as enjoyable as those loaded with salt, without compromising your health. In the long run, reducing salt intake can help protect your heart and improve your overall quality of life. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to the effects of excess sodium, so it's essential to be mindful of how much salt we consume. Making small adjustments to your diet, like choosing low-sodium options and cooking with fresh ingredients, can make a world of difference for your health. Just as Aunt Susan learned, you can feel more energized, manage your blood pressure, and protect your heart, all by simply reducing your salt intake and choosing healthier, more natural alternatives. As we address the risks of excess salt in our diet, it's important to remember that another seemingly innocent source of potential harm is sweets and desserts. Just like processed foods and excess salt, sugar in large amounts can lead to weight gain, blood sugar issues, and even cognitive decline as we age. Number 6. Sweets and desserts. Sweets may bring temporary pleasure and comfort, but regularly consuming sugary foods can contribute to a host of health problems, especially as we age. From weight gain to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline, the impact of excessive sugar is more significant than many realize. Excess sugar is one of the leading contributors to weight gain. The body processes sugar into glucose, which provides energy. However, when we consume more sugar than our body needs, the excess is stored as fat. This leads to an increase in body fat, making it harder to stay active and healthy. Additionally, sugary foods cause blood sugar spikes, followed by sharp drops, leaving us feeling fatigued and craving more sugar. This cycle can make it even harder to maintain a healthy weight. One of the most concerning effects of sugar, especially as we age, is its impact on cognitive function. Studies have shown a direct link between high sugar consumption and cognitive decline, including an increased risk of developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Excessive sugar leads to insulin resistance, which impairs brain function and interferes with memory. This is a reality that many older adults face, and it's something that my friend Peter discovered all too well. Peter, a man with a lifelong love for sweets, particularly cookies, began noticing a decline in his memory when he turned 70. He would forget where he placed his keys or struggled to recall simple details. At first, Peter shrugged it off as a normal part of aging, but the memory lapses became more frequent and concerning. When he went for a routine checkup, his doctor explained that his sugar consumption might be playing a role in his cognitive decline. The excessive sugar, particularly from the cookies he enjoyed every day, was affecting his brain health. Determined to make a change, Peter decided to cut back on sugary foods and try a more natural approach to satisfy his sweet tooth. He swapped out his cookies for fresh berries, which are rich in antioxidants and have been shown to support brain health. He also started enjoying small pieces of dark chocolate, which contains less sugar and has beneficial properties for heart health and cognitive function. Over time, Peter noticed a significant improvement in his mood and mental clarity. His memory improved, and he felt more alert and focused throughout the day. This shift in Peter's diet serves as an important lesson for all of us. While indulging in sweets every now and then is unlikely to have a major negative impact, consistently making sugary treats a part of our regular diet can take a toll on our health, particularly as we age. Instead of reaching for processed, sugary snacks, try incorporating natural alternatives that offer both sweetness and nutritional value. Fresh fruits like berries, apples, or even a small serving of grapes can provide a satisfying, healthy alternative to sugar-laden treats. Dark chocolate, when enjoyed in moderation, can also be a delicious option that offers antioxidant benefits and has a lower glycemic impact than milk chocolate. It's also important to remember that sugar isn't just found in obvious sources like cookies and candy. It's often hidden in processed foods, including sauces, breakfast cereals, and even some beverages. Becoming more aware of the sugar content in our foods is an essential step toward maintaining better overall health. Many older adults have found that simply cutting back on these hidden sugars can lead to noticeable improvements in their energy levels, mood, and even their skin. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at processing sugar, which is why it's so important to be conscious of how much we consume. The key is moderation. Sweets don't have to be completely off limits, but we need to make more informed choices about when and how we enjoy them. By opting for healthier alternatives, we can still enjoy the occasional treat without compromising our long-term health. For Peter, making this simple change not only helped him feel better physically, but it also gave him back the clarity he thought he had lost forever. In conclusion, while sweets may offer a moment of pleasure, their long-term effects on our health should not be overlooked. Excessive sugar contributes to weight gain, increases the risk of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease, and can even affect our cognitive function as we age. By choosing natural alternatives and being mindful of our sugar intake, we can maintain a healthier, more vibrant life, full of energy and mental clarity. The lesson is clear. Moderation and mindful choices are key to enjoying life's sweet moments without sacrificing our health. As we've learned today, the foods we choose to eat as we age have a profound impact on our health and quality of life. Avoiding these 8 common foods that steal years from your life after 70 isn't just about eating better. It's about taking control of your health and making choices that help you feel your best for as long as possible. Remember, small changes in your diet can lead to big improvements in how you feel every day. So take a moment to reflect on your habits and ask yourself, which of these foods can you cut back on today for a healthier tomorrow? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and share it with others who might benefit. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell us, which of these foods do you already avoid, and which ones will you consider cutting out? Let's start a conversation. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more insightful videos that can help you live your healthiest life. We'd love for you to be part of the Elder Insights community. Thank you so much for watching, and we can't wait to see you in our next video. Take care and remember, your health is your wealth. See you soon.